Welcome everybody to another Writer Wednesday. I can't believe it's already Wednesday, guys, and it's the first Wednesday of September. Yeah, let that sink in for a minute. Oh my gosh, guys, what in the world has happened to this year? It's like it's gone out the window. It's just craziness. Hey, Terry, good to see you in here. You are always here. I love it so much. Okay, so this morning, I want to talk about something that maybe a lot of authors don't really think about a whole lot. And I know that for me, I work pretty hard at trying to get some of these things in place. But there's even a few things that I've learned this past week, guys. Hey, David, good to see you too. Okay, so automation. What is it? Basically, it's a concept of being able to help you get things done not only faster, but in the background. It's helping you to do some of the tasks that have to happen all the time, whether it's for your business or whether it's for at home. I mean, automating in its simplest form is doing something for you that you really don't want to do. So a dishwasher is automating washing dishes for you. The same concept goes for authors. So there's a whole bunch of different things that we can do as authors to be able to automate our business. And it really comes down to a couple of questions that you got to ask yourself. I'm going to wait and not share those questions with you because I think you're going to find a lot more value out of it if you listen to Stephen Gordon, who is going to be in our podcast episode that's aired today. So make sure that you head over to authorrevolution.org/45 and check out that podcast episode and find out what those two questions are. But there are a whole bunch of things that you can automate. And so I wanted to go over a few of them that were just on the top of my head that I've either been working on automating myself or things that kind of came up in our conversation that I didn't think about, but I do plan to implement in my own author automation future, if that makes sense. Okay, so first, though, I want to know, do you guys have anything in your minds that you would love to be able to automate? And if so, leave me a comment, guys, because I would like to know what you would like to be automating. But in the meantime, here's a couple of things that I want you to be thinking about. So emails are one of the main ways, I think, that authors can very easily and quickly set up their automations. There's something that Stephen Gordon wants everyone to kind of be thinking about and probably set up first, and that's called a dashboard. But we'll get to that in a second. When it comes to emails, I think it's easier to wrap your head around that concept first. And so let's talk about that. So there are a number of ways that your email marketing is really important as an author. Think about it. We're talking about how you can set up a free book, put it on Story Origin or BookFunnel, and then have those readers come to you, and hopefully then they become a subscriber to your email list or whatever the heck you're trying to have them do. Read your book, and then hopefully go on to read more books, right? That's kind of the concept. So that's called lead generation. And when you're doing lead generation, you're reaching out and you're doing the reader magnet situation. You're trying to pull them into your world so that they can start reading more about who you are, more about your stories, things like that. You start with that funnel. And so the funnel is really your free book. They subscribe to your newsletter. They end up on your newsletter. They start reading your newsletters weekly, monthly, however often you're doing it. But they start reading your books, and now they become a fan because they've read your books and they want to continue to read more. That's called your author funnel. Your whole system is your marketing funnel, right? Newsletters and platforms. Awesome. Well, we're in the right place then. Here we go. So you can actually automate all of that. When you set up something like Story Origin, for example, in BookFunnel, but BookFunnel is a little more expensive, and you put your book out there and it's for free or it's a free sample, whatever, they decide they want to read it, they can put in their email address, and then Story Origin or BookFunnel automates to your email provider that those subscribers have subscribed to your newsletter, and then they automatically get shifted over into your email client. So whether that be Flowdesk or MailerLite or MailChimp, whatever the case might be, they are automatically, without you even having to do anything, pushed over into your email service provider, okay? So when that happens, it's really important to be thinking about what do you want them to experience from that point forward. So the best way to explain this is then an onboard nurture sequence. A lot of authors will just do like a, hey, you've subscribed, woo, and that's it. That's it. Nobody hears from them again until their newsletter. But you don't want to do that. You want to warm up all of those readers. You want to get them excited about who you are, what you're interested in, what you're writing about, and all of that is called an onboard nurture sequence. And so you're nurturing them to learn about who you are. It's like meeting someone in person and you're trying to explain what you do, why you like it, why you're writing it, whatever the case might be. You're not selling books. You're not trying to say, hey, here's my thing that I want you to get right now. You're just telling them about yourself, about why you're excited that they're in your newsletter, and give them a bunch of different opportunities to learn more about you. And you can do that in so many different ways. But what happens is, and we'll talk about more about an onboard nurture sequence. Stephen Gordon is coming back in October, and so we're going to be diving into email marketing in specific. This one is more about automation, so I'm going to stick to that. But once you get all those in there, and they're going through your nurture sequence, which can be anywhere from 3 emails to 52 emails. Is that how many 50 weeks are in a year? You could have an email that goes out one per week forever to those new subscribers, just so that they can get to know you. More than likely, it's going to be between 3 and 15. But I'm just saying, you could go hog wild. Okay, so all of those things then pull your reader in, and it lets them get to know who you are and how to experience you as a writer. And it makes it a lot easier for them when they then see your normal newsletter or they see a promo newsletter to open it, because they already have built that relationship with you, and they're no longer considered a cold lead or a warm lead. They're actually right there, they are a lead. They are your prospect that has now converted into a fan. And that's what you want. So all of that stuff gets automated in the background. But that's not all you need to automate. You can automate things like reader surveys. You can check in with them periodically just to see, okay, which is my favorite book? Which is your favorite book of mine? What types of genres have you been really interested in lately? Who are your favorite authors that you're reading right now? And all of that information can help you to try to either pivot the way that you're writing your books, or maybe find a new author yourself if you're looking for something that is going to resonate with you, because more than likely your readers are very similar to you. There's so many things that you can do with that one. And all of that gets automated. It gets sent into a spreadsheet, and then you're able to disseminate all that information and be able to make some pretty good guesses based off of that stuff. You can also, and should also, automate your review requests. And a lot of authors miss this one too, where everyone's like, gosh, it's so hard to get reviews. Well, how many people do you have on your email list? Because if you've got those people, you can ask them periodically, hey, have you left a review of X book? Or when was the last time you left a review? Or, hey, I'm looking for reviews for this book. Anyone here having read it, can you go ahead and post a review? Whatever the case might be, those emails can be automated. You can set it up in the background just like your nurture sequence, and they just go off automatically, reminding your readers that your books need a little love. And so all of a sudden, you're getting reviews. You're probably sitting back going, where are these coming from and why? It's probably your nurture sequence that is geared for review requests. You can also automate your ARC team. So what is that? Your advanced reader copy team. So those are the people that will read your books prior to it being published. And you do want to create a team. And so you can get information set up in the background where you're asking people to join your ARC team if they are willing to leave a review based off of getting a free book of whatever book it might be coming out. If they sign up, I usually do that in a couple of different stages. So they come in, they're a novitiate first. If they come in and they do as they say they're going to do when they get the free copy, they reviewed the book, they get moved over into the ARC team. So all that stuff can get automated. So you're able to keep track of those people, keep track of their reviews. You can also remind them to leave reviews. So if the new book is out, you can email them automatically and just say, hey, XYZ book is out. Don't forget to leave your review. The other thing you can do, so a lot of us kind of forget about this, but when we're busy or when we're doing other things, or if we ask our audience a question, we sometimes forget that we can set up auto responses. So like, for example, if you don't want to always answer everything immediately, especially if you have a lot of people on your list, you can set up auto responses to just say, hey, thank you so much for responding to my newsletter today. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Even if it's something as simple as that, it lets them know that you are thinking about them prior to just kind of going off and doing your own thing. Okay, so that's a lot of the stuff that you can automate in just email alone. And there's probably more, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in that next episode. But there's things like your website. You can automate information from Google Analytics. You can automate story ideas. Stephen Gordon does talk about that one a little bit and how he handles that in the podcast episode. But you have this option of being able to, when you're leaving a story idea for yourself, where do you put it? Do you write it down in a book, or do you put it in like a note on your phone? I personally leave a voice memo, but voice memos can go into a certain folder. You can use a program called Zapier, and Zapier, whichever, can move all of that information over to wherever you would like it to go. So for example, if you have all of your story ideas in a certain location, Trello, Google Docs, Evernote, wherever it might be, Zapier will connect those two. So as soon as it recognizes there's a new story idea, it will put it wherever you tell it to go. So if you always want to make sure that your story ideas go into the same folder, the same location, whatever the case might be, you can do that. Social media can also be done. There's two different ways you can automate social media. So the first one being like if you have automated content generation. For example, let's say you want to keep track of your writing goals for the day. You have like a special form on your website, or you have a special form in Google Forms, wherever the case is. You answer a few questions about what your writing goal was for the day, where you actually met it, maybe a few thoughts about how your day went or what the scenes were like. And then as soon as you hit save, you can have Zapier do the same thing in the background where it automatically generates new content, creates a new post on your website. And then once it's on your website, it then automates and sends everything out to social media as well. So that's an automated content generation post for social media and for your website. But you can't always do that, because I'll tell you, social media gets boring when that's all it is. So you do want to be thinking about other ways to be able to work within your social media. So I really recommend a program called Buffer. It's an amazing program. I love it. I use it all the time with me and Jenny. And so what happens is she can do images for me. I'll tweak the images or whatever. Sometimes I don't even have to. She'll put up what she believes needs to go into the content for the post. And if I get the chance, and sometimes I don't, I will go in and either add in information. So like the social media post information, the little blurb above the image. I will go in and create it, or I will go in and tweak it if for some reason I would say something a little bit differently. Those are things that you can automate because you only create it once, and then when you're in Buffer, it goes to everywhere else. You can tell it to go to Instagram, to go to LinkedIn, to go to Twitter, to go to your Facebook groups, to go to your Facebook page, to go to your profile. You have so many different options when it comes to that. Now, keep in mind though, if you want to keep the free program, you can only have up to 8 social media accounts. Once you get past that, now you have to start paying for Buffer. So there is that little caveat there, but it's very much worth it. Okay, so I talked about dashboards really quickly. And this is something that I'm actually working on. It was new to me where I was like, that would be really smart, an author dashboard, because there are certain things that I check every single morning. And so if I can automate that, so it creates a report sort of thing in the morning, I don't have to then sit down and create it. So for example, this is what my generation right now looks like. And no, it doesn't look like much, does it? It's a bunch of numbers. And that's because I go in, that was July, I go in and I check stats, and I'm checking to see what are my pre-order numbers and sales right now. What are the page reads that I had for the day before? What is everything looking like? Just so I can get a snapshot of whether or not things are going well, or if I need to turn an ad back on, or if I need to shut an ad off. Things like that. It gives me insights into what I need to be doing for the business side of the author platform every single day. And so I keep track of things like sales, like I said, pre-orders, page reads. Some of the things that you can also keep track of are those reviews. So who's leaving reviews on what book and how many does that book have? You can keep track of stuff like your ad info. So if you're doing Amazon ads, BookBub ads, Facebook ads, all of them with the exception of Amazon at the moment, but it sounds like they're going to be opening their API, can be automatically put in to your dashboard. You can still do it with KDP, you can still do it with Amazon, but you do have to download a CSV file and then import it. And you can do that like once a week, maybe even once a month if you're not all that bothered. But at least then you're able to import it, and it still gives you all of that statistical, is that a word, statistical? I suppose, information to get you making right decisions when it comes to your sales type of situation for being an author, because that's really important when it comes to making really good, wise decisions about ad spend, about whether or not your covers are working or whether or not your blurb is working. All of those things come down to the numbers. And when you can, I guess, pinpoint whether or not an ad is working or whether or not any of those other things are causing a problem, it helps you to be more focused and be more efficient as an author, because you're able to tweak things. And that's like the ultimate goal for being an indie author, being able to tweak things and hone it in so much that you're able to be as efficient as absolutely possible. And that's so important. So all that stuff can be done in two different ways from what I gather. So you could just create a spreadsheet and have everything automatically pull into a spreadsheet and just leave it in the spreadsheet itself and look at it that way if that's how you like to look at information. And it can all be automated. You can still have a Zap pull it over into a spreadsheet, no big deal. Or you can use something called, I think it's Google Data Source or something like that. I was going to look that up and I totally spaced it out. It's on the website. I have a link to it on Author Revolution's show notes today, so you can always check that out as well. But you can create an actual author dashboard that pulls in that information, probably based off that spreadsheet. I actually haven't looked into it enough to be able to know how it's working from the logistics side yet, because this is the part that I'm excited about figuring out how to do. Because like I said, I check out 3 or 4 different locations every single day. And for me, that just makes more sense to be able to pull it in and look at it in one location instead of going to like 6 different places. It makes more sense. So, okay. David says there's a lot you can do, which I didn't know. There is so much you can do. It's amazing. I think for me, the biggest one that I've always known about is the email stuff. So that set in my brain right away. It was no big deal. But everything else has been, like the dashboard part has been really eye-opening to me, because it was like, wow, I didn't even think you could do stuff like that. And I know you can even do stuff within Trello, you can do stuff within Slack, you can do stuff within, there's so many different aspects that can be managed. But the big, huge takeaway, I think, is that you have to find out what parts you need to automate. Because it's not the same for everyone. You don't have to keep track of all of these in a certain way. You don't even have to keep track of it if it's not appealing to you or you think that it's not necessary for your business. You start with where you're at. You start with the thing that is the most in need of automation first. And then from that point forward, it spreads out and it becomes bigger, because you can't do everything all at once. It's like trying to write a novel in one day. You can't do it. It has to like be created and kind of go out. Okay, David says, you've used Zapier before, and Notion app can be used as a dashboard. That's cool. I will have to check out Notion as well. I think one of the reasons why the Google data, I think it's data source. I can't remember for certain. I was gonna look it up, but it's all done by Google. So if you're doing a Google spreadsheet where all the information is getting dumped in, you know that it's going to automate and talk to the Google spreadsheet. But if you find one that works better for you, I say go for it. I know for me, visual-wise, a dashboard would make a heck of a lot more sense than a spreadsheet. I've never been a spreadsheet person. In fact, my best friend Sherry, when I first started writing Pendamis, was like, you need a spreadsheet to keep track of all the information from the characters in the world for Pendamis. And I was like, okay. So I created the spreadsheet, and I don't think I ever went back and looked at it. I put information in it, so maybe it helped me with the organization of my brain part, but it was not a way that for me helped me find the information. It was more hassle, I guess, than it was worth. But if you can automate that information that goes into the spreadsheet and it creates a visual version of it, now that I like. And that's one of the reasons why I think people like book reports so much. So if you don't know about Book Report is like it's a more visual dashboard from the KDP dashboard. It pulls all that information from KDP, your back dashboard for your author platform, and pulls it into a more visual manner. And so you're able to see it in like little graphs or, charts or whatever. And you're able to kind of, at a glance, visualize what's happening. I think the only thing it does not handle is pre-orders, if I'm remembering right. I don't remember a spot for pre-orders in there. So you always have to go to the other dashboard, which is where that checking multiple places comes into for me, because it's like I like Book Report's dashboard, but I can't get the information for pre-orders, so that doesn't help me. All right. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it gets your mind rolling a little bit. There is so much you can do, guys. So definitely check out the podcast episode. Listen to what Stephen Gordon has to say about different ways to be able to automate things that he's done in the past for himself and for clients. Hopefully it's helpful to you guys, and let me know if it is. Make sure to leave me a comment and let me know, is there more stuff that you're going to try to automate in your author business? Definitely start early. Both of you guys are in such a great place to be able to start early, because the more information you feed the automation, the bigger your picture is, and you're able to more clearly make those ideas come to life and make better decisions when it comes to ad spend and all of those things. So the fact that you're starting out with one book instead of, I don't even know how many, it's a lot less stressful. Let me just say it from that perspective. So, okay, so Terry says she has questions. Well, definitely leave them. Let me know what they are, because I'm sure if you have questions, other people have questions as well. So make sure that you leave them in the comments so that we can all talk about them in either the Facebook group or right here, wherever you are watching. That would be fantastic, because we can go over them and try to make some sense out of all of this automation stuff. It's actually really kind of a fun thing to do, and it makes our author lives so much easier, especially if we're trying to rapid release, because let me tell you guys, we do so much all the time. We are constantly on the go, and there's so much that we're always working on. And even if you're not rapid releasing, even if you're just trying to release 1 book, 2 books a year, there's a lot to think about, and there's a lot to be managing. So yeah, leave a comment so that we can all talk about it together. It'd be great. All right, so hopefully that got you sparked, though. I'm hoping it did. And if you do have questions, let me know. I am here all the time. I'm probably going to go do some writing here in a moment, but I will be here, and we can always talk more about automation. All right, guys, I'll talk to you again next week. Have a good one. Make sure you get some writing done today, okay? All right, bye, guys.